The Copper Scroll was discovered in Qumran, Israel, in 1952. It was discovered after an over 2,000-year slumber. The scroll forms part of the Dead Sea Scroll collection, but differs in several significant aspects. Firstly, the scroll was discovered by an archaeologist and not a Bedouin, as is the case with the majority of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Secondly, as the name suggests, the scroll is made of thin copper, in place of the expected parchment or papyrus. As a result of this, the scroll has survived better than the other scrolls in the collection, which show large signs of decay, in some cases, disintegrating entirely. Lastly, the Copper Scroll is not a literary text like the other scrolls. The contents of the scroll form an inventory, listing 63 locations in the modern state of Israel, and the buried treasures therein. The value of the treasure? Over $3 billion. The contents of the scroll were not known, until 3 years after its discovery. When discovered, the Copper Scroll was rolled up, and there were no means to unravel it in 1952. That was until in 1955, the Copper Scroll was cut into 23 strips and, for the first time, the contents were revealed. Deciphering the contents was not an easy task. The Hebrew language used was closer to the language of the Mishnah, an older and less used language than the Hebrew used in the literary Dead Sea Scrolls. Upon translating the Copper Scroll, it was evident that this scroll was not a literary work like the other scrolls, but rather, a list of places and treasure. The treasure is part of a hall, of biblical proportions, theorized to be from the Jewish Second Temple, hidden by Jews in an attempt to conceal and protect it before the Roman invasion. The First Temple is more commonly referred to as King Solomon's Temple, a location theorized to have housed the Ark of the Covenant. One for another video. When the Romans invaded Jerusalem, they destroyed the Second Temple, and ransacked the treasures within. This is evidenced by the Arch of Titus in Rome, carved in 82 AD, which shows Roman soldiers carrying treasures, including a menorah. But due to the extensive treasure that the Second Temple had accumulated, it is possible, nay, likely, that some of the treasure was hidden. The vast haul of treasure alluded to in the Copper Scroll has sparked one of the biggest treasure hunts of the century. Though the scroll itself does not gift the intrepid treasure hunter with a starting point. Without a starting point, the directions are difficult to follow. However, the Copper Scroll makes mention of a second part, known as the Silver Scroll, which provides the key to unraveling the mystery of the Copper Scroll. Perhaps, the starting point for the treasure hunt, or even, precise locations for each of the 64 sites mentioned in the Copper Scroll. Unfortunately, the search for the Silver Scroll is still ongoing, and hasn't yet been found. Even without the Silver Scroll, adventurers have still searched far and wide for the treasure, based on the cryptic clues hidden within the Copper Scroll. But has the treasure already been found? Robert Eisenman stakes a claim in his book, James the Brother of Jesus, that the Silver Scroll was found by the Knights Templar during the First Crusade, and that they used the Silver Scroll to locate the 64 plots of buried treasure. And so, Eisenman claims that the fabled Templar treasure is in fact the treasure alluded to in the Copper Scroll. It has also been proposed that once the Romans left, the Jews dug up their treasure and used it to rebuild the city of Jerusalem. But all of this could be for nothing if the Copper Scroll is a hoax. So where is the proof that such treasures existed? The Copper Scroll has been mentioned in several texts, including 2 Maccabees, which tells of the prophet Jeremiah receiving divine warning of the Babylonian invasion. And so, Jeremiah took the sacred temple treasures and hid them near Mount Nebo. The mountain is close to the location where the Copper Scroll was discovered. Then, there is an 18th century text called Emek Ha-Melech, which states that a group of 5 men secreted the temple treasures, 7 years before the destruction of the Temple of Solomon. It goes further by stating that the 5 men recorded their mission on a copper plate, and will not be discovered until the coming of the Son of David. The source of the 18th century text was discovered in 1990 in a document that also referenced the mission, and the copper plate. Except, This source document was written 1,000 years earlier. Jim Barfield, of the Copper Scroll Project, believes that he has decoded the cryptic messages of the Copper Scroll, and therefore, found the locations of the treasures. He goes into detail about his discoveries in a lecture that can be found on YouTube. Have a watch after this video, link in the description. The first clue mentioned on the Copper Scroll is, as follows. In the ruin of Horba, which is in the valley of Achor, under the steps, heading eastward 40 cubits, lies a chest of silver that weighs 17 talents. A talent is an ancient unit of measurement that equates to roughly 75 pounds. A cubit is another term for a measurement in feet. Barfield takes this clue, and uses a map of a ruin in Qumran. His findings are highly compelling. He notes that there is one instance of a staircase that heads east. Its length, 39.98 feet. But it doesn't end there. Another clue reads: enter into the hole of the waterproofed reservoir of Manos, descend to the left, 40 talents of silver lie 3 cubits from the bottom. Again, Barfield notices a ritual pool on the map, with stairs that descend to the left. In his lecture, Barfield makes note of several other clues and their correlation to the map. His argument is nigh indisputable. To further his claim, Barfield rotates the map to reveal that his map almost perfectly matches the shape of Jerusalem, at the time of Jeremiah, further enhancing his claim. If we know the locations of the treasure, why has nobody excavated the sites? The truth is that the political climate in Israel is not stable, and therefore, excavations at this time are simply not possible. If any single person were to excavate the sites, then the findings would automatically go to the Israeli government, and likely the person who excavated would be imprisoned. Fact is, if the Israeli government received the vast wealth from the treasure, then this would cause Palestine to become uneasy, and thus fueling further instability in the region. For now, it is best that the treasure remains hidden. As the ancient Jewish texts state, perhaps only when the Son of David returns, will the treasure be revealed. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Mystery Anomaly.